You probably think hackers are shadowy men in dark rooms, right? But the truth is far scarier. The attacks that shook NASA, the CIA, even the US government, were carried out by kids as young as 13 or 14. At an age when most of us were worried about math test scores, they were sitting in front of screens, breaking through firewalls that seemed unbreakable. This isn't just a story about technology, it's a warning. Real power can rest in the smallest of hands. When small fingers on keyboards change the world. There's an image most people imagine when they think of hackers. A grown man in a dark hoodie, sitting in a pitch-black room surrounded by glowing computers, just like in a Hollywood movie. But the truth is, many of the most notorious cyber attacks in history didn't come from tech giants, but from kids still in high school. Hard to believe, right? At the age when most of us were worrying about math tests or recess, some boys and girls were shaking the virtual world, breaking into government networks, crashing million-dollar companies, and even challenging the most powerful intelligence agencies on Earth. And the scariest part? They weren't doing it for money, but out of curiosity, to test themselves, or simply to prove that they could. This is the story of the most dangerous kid hackers in history, the names that would later become legends in both cybersecurity and the public imagination. 1. Jonathan James, the boy who made NASA pull the plug. In 1999, while the world was worried about the Y2K bug, a 5-year-old boy in Florida, named Jonathan James aka Siamraid, was writing his own chapter of history. Jonathan didn't have a fancy lab or a supercomputer. What he had was an old desktop, a shaky internet connection, and bottomless curiosity. In a series of experiments, he found a way to break into NASA's systems. He downloaded source code for software controlling the International Space Station, a program worth millions of dollars. He even infiltrated the Department of Defense, gaining access to sensitive emails and usernames. The result? NASA shut down its systems for 21 days to investigate and patch the breach, costing over $40,000. When arrested, Jonathan just laughed. "I didn't do it to damage anything. I just wanted to see how far I could go." The chilling truth: a 5-year-old boy forced NASA to pull the plug. 2. The kids who hacked the CIA. In 2015, the world was stunned to learn that the personal email and social media accounts of CIA Director John Brennan had been hacked. People assumed a powerful international cybercrime group was behind it. But the truth shocked everyone. It was just a group of 15 7-year-olds in the UK, calling themselves Crackers with Attitude, CWA. They didn't use advanced hacking tools. Their only weapon, social engineering, pretending to be support staff, making calls to telecom providers, gathering bits of info piece by piece. Then, like solving a puzzle, they slipped inside. CWA went further, hacking accounts belonging to James Clapper, Director of National Intelligence, and Jay Johnson, Homeland Security Secretary. Emails, classified documents, phone numbers, all exposed publicly. The world shuddered. If a few kids can do this, how safe are nations really? 3. High schoolers versus Microsoft. The Xbox heist. Microsoft always prided itself on security, but in 2014, a group of teenagers mostly under 18 proved that even giants can be brought down by kids. They discovered vulnerabilities in Xbox Live and Microsoft's game development tools. They downloaded hundreds of gigabytes of data, including unreleased test files for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. The stolen material was valued at over $100 million, and it all started in teenagers' bedrooms. When the FBI caught them, one boy admitted, "We just wanted to play the game before it came out." A childish prank, but the price was anything but childish. 4. Kevin Mitnick. From teen rebel to most wanted hacker. Everyone knows Kevin Mitnick's name. Few remember he started at age 16. Mitnick first hacked Pacific Bell, just to play around with free phone calls. Soon, he was addicted to the power of outsmarting corporations. As a teenager, he became a nightmare for US tech companies. He broke into Digital Equipment Corporation, stole multi-million-dollar software, and hacked Motorola, Nokia, and Sun Microsystems. While the FBI hunted him, Mitnick kept moving, always one step ahead. He was eventually caught and jailed, but his legacy remains a warning. One teenager with a modem can keep a whole country up at night. 5. Why kid hackers are scarier than pros. What do all these stories have in common? Youth and curiosity. They hack not for money, but to explore limits. No mental breaks. Adults weigh risks. Kids don't. Proof that the weakest link isn't tech, but people, from social engineering to overlooked mistakes by giant corporations. The ultimate danger. If kids can do it, what's stopping criminal groups or hostile nations from doing the same on a far greater scale? 6. the 1-year-old hacker, and the painful lesson for cybersecurity. Imagine a tech conference with hundreds of the world's top security experts. In the middle of the hall, and 1-year-old girl sits down, opens her laptop, and within minutes, successfully hacks into a simulated election system of the state of Florida. That happened in 2018 at the DEF CON conference in Las Vegas. BN, the girl's nickname, proved a bitter truth. Even an 1-year-old child could break into US sound election systems if security vulnerabilities weren't patched. People didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Experts spent months researching, while the girl needed less than 15 minutes. The story quickly went viral, becoming a global warning. If kids can do this in a simulated environment, how terrifying would real malicious actors be? 7. The Filipino hacker teen. When Asia spoke up. It wasn't just the US and Europe. Asia also had keyboard prodigies who shook the world. In the early 2000s, a young man from the Philippines named Onel de Guzman, then 23, but he had started hacking as a teen, created one of the most infamous viruses in history, I love you. The virus spread through emails with a simple subject line, I love you. Curiosity drove people to open it, and within days, more than 45 million computers worldwide were infected. Corporations, government agencies, even the US Congress went into chaos. Estimated damages, tens of billions of dollars. Ironically, Philippine law at the time had no provisions for computer crimes, so Onel practically escaped punishment, and it all began with a young man's curiosity. 8. The teenage girl hacker, a bank's nightmare. People often assume hackers are male, but history shows girl hackers can be just as dangerous. One famous case in Europe involved a 16-year-old high school student who discovered and exploited a vulnerability in her local bank's online transaction system. With just a few lines of code, she transferred tens of thousands of euros into her own account. The astonishing part, instead of spending the money on shopping, she invested it into more powerful computer hardware to keep hacking. When she was caught, investigators admitted they never expected the culprit to be a schoolgirl still wearing her uniform to class every day. 9. The Minecraft Million Scam. When gaming became a battlefield. Minecraft, the seemingly harmless block-building game, once became the stage for one of the strangest hacks. A group of teenagers set up fake servers and tricked tens of thousands of players into spending real money on virtual items. Total amount stolen, $16.5 million USD. What's shocking is that most of those behind the scheme were minors, many not even old enough to drive. The case raised concerns. If online games are becoming training grounds for the next generation of hackers, what does the future of cybersecurity look like? When curiosity turns tragic. Jonathan James and a sad ending. Back to Jonathan James, Omraid, the boy who once forced NASA to shut down its systems. After being caught and sentenced to house arrest, Jonathan tried to rebuild his life, but the hacker past haunted him. In 2008, during an FBI investigation into a supermarket chain hack, Jonathan was suspected of involvement. Although no direct evidence was found, the pressure and fear of imprisonment weighed heavily. At 24, Jonathan took his own life. In his farewell note, he wrote, "I don't believe in justice. I will be punished for things I didn't do." Jonathan's story ended as a stark reminder. Behind the brilliance of hacker prodigies lies darkness, loneliness, and sometimes tragedy. 11. Why do teen hackers terrify the world? The scariest part about teen hackers isn't their technology, but their psychology. They don't know fear. A 5-year-old doesn't fully grasp legal consequences, so they dare to try what adults won't. They have unlimited time. Instead of working, they can spend dozens of hours a day in front of a screen. They are endlessly creative. With youthful curiosity, they see flaws even seasoned engineers overlook. This combination creates a threat that frustrates both corporations and governments. 12. Lessons for the future. Who's sitting behind the screen? The world has changed. Nations now invest billions in cybersecurity. Tech giants hire white-hat hackers to find vulnerabilities. Yet the question remains, who is sitting in front of a computer somewhere in the world? It could be just a child curious about coding, but in a few years, that same child could be the one making the CIA, FBI, or even NASA lose sleep again. The key is not to stop every hacking attempt, but to channel that curiosity into positive paths. Programming, research, cybersecurity, rather than destruction. The stories of the world's most dangerous kid hackers aren't just anecdotes for YouTube. They're reminders that technological power doesn't depend on age, but on the hands behind the keyboard. Today, with a laptop and an internet connection, anyone, from a 1-year-old girl to a high school student, can touch the world's deepest secrets. And the scariest part isn't that they can do it, but what they will choose to do with that power. You've just heard the story of young hackers capable of changing history with only a few keystrokes. It makes us wonder, in a world increasingly dependent on technology, how many other secrets are still waiting to be uncovered? And more importantly, if a 15-year-old can shake NASA or the CIA, what will happen when those curious minds grow up and step into the real game? If you want to keep exploring chilling stories like these, from unsolved mysteries, buried political secrets, to forbidden places where humans were never meant to tread, then stay with us. Don't stop at just one video. Hit subscribe and become part of a community that seeks out hidden truths. Because every week, we bring you a new journey where curiosity meets fear, and where history is rewritten through secrets that have never been told.